not allowed just in your own seat. I want you to answer the question rather to fill in this blank. I've had enough of, like I said, when you're allowed, someone would say someone's name and they're here, and they don't need that energy. You know what I mean? Like, but, and I'm not either, right? That count. I've had enough of what? What would you put in that blank that you would say, I've had enough of that, right? I've had enough of that person's criticism. I've had enough of the complaining. I've had enough of their passive aggressive behavior. I've had enough of the situation at work. I've had enough of the politics and all the conversation around politics. Like the videos. I've had enough of the text messages reminding me who needs my vote. Like whatever. Like, I've had enough of the Republicans. I've had enough of the Democrats. I've had enough of the news like showing up and sending me all these notifications. I've had enough of that. Maybe it's I've had enough of this. I've had enough of. Like I said, when you're allowed, someone would say someone's name and they're here, and they don't need that energy. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not either, right? That count. I've had enough of what? What would you put in that blank that you would say, I've had enough of that, right? I've had enough of that person's criticism. I've had enough of the complaining. I've had enough of their passive aggressive behavior. I've had enough of the situation at work. I've had enough of the politics and all the conversation around politics. Like videos. I've had enough of the text messages reminding me who needs my vote. Like whatever. Like, I've had enough of the Republicans. I've had enough of the Democrats. I've had enough of the news like showing up and sending me all these notifications. I've had enough of that. Maybe it's I've had enough of this financial situation. I've had enough of this career. I've just had enough of it, right? For some of us, you would say a person. Like if you had to fill in that blank, I've had enough of it. You would put your boss. For some of you, you would put a coworker. For some of you, you would say a neighbor. For some of you, you would say your spouse. For some of you, you would say one of your kids, right? Like you participated in making a human, and now that tiny human, you've had enough of them, right? Like I'm done. That's real life, y'all. Like that's real. And so like you know, maybe that's what it is. I don't know what you would say, but we've all hit those moments where we've had enough. I had one recently in my own life. My wife, when it becomes springtime, my wife just like all of a sudden like gets so excited about all the things that we need to do on the weekends around our house. And so she created a honey-do list that is longer than the Bible. It's so long, it's ridiculous. And so every Friday and Saturday, she's like, let's go, let's do some things. Like, what else mulch I got you? I'm like, oh yeah, like, and which is the opposite of me because I'm like, I had the weekend, and I'm like, y'all trying to just like chill for a couple hours. And she's like, no, like these planners like themselves, right? Like, so she's like, she's so excited to get all this stuff done. She's been on me, y'all. She's been on me about doing stuff, and she's like, she's reading out this massive list of things that we do and need to get done, and all need to get done by Saturday. You know what I mean? Like, and I've just been okay, I feel building. And the other night, you guys, I hit enough. And we were getting ready for bed, and we were both brushing our teeth, and she asks this question, and she says, so what do you think is a good way for me to get you to do anything? Feels personal, right? I was like, you know the moment when you've had enough, and you feel it, right? I felt it. I was like, this is it, I've had enough, I'm done. And I was so annoyed, and I wish that I could tell you like how pastoral and like godly and holy I handled the situation. I did not. I hit my enough, and I went full sarcasm, full snarky, like, and I responded back as I'm like walking out of the room. I'm like, oh, I don't know. How about you just create like one or two things we can do instead of everything we're gonna do? No, we got. And then she yells back. She's like, what's one thing you like to do? How many kids lunch? You've never made a lunch. And then I'm yelling back at me in the other room at this point. I'm yelling back. I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. I don't even know what lunch is. How do you spell lunch? You know what I mean? And so we're going at it, and we're just both annoyed. I just had enough. Now I will say I got made the best lunch my kids have ever had in their life. 5:30 a.m. I was done with that lunch. I came to her and I whispered. I said, lunch is made. And she knew what that really was. You know what I mean? Like I said, lunch is made. But I was going to say something else. So I was like, but you know when you've had enough, right? Like you can feel that moment when you've had enough, and I hit that moment and I didn't respond well. But the question I'll ask you is, how do you react when you've had enough? How do you react when you've had enough? How would the people around you say that you react when you've had enough? You know, the old saying goes that actions speak louder than words. But our teaching pastor Andy Stanley, he likes to say that your reactions speak louder than both. And your reaction, how you react when you feel frustrated, when you feel disappointed, when you feel discouraged, when things haven't gone your way, when you're feeling overwhelmed, when you're feeling stressed out, when you had a hard day and you come home and things at home are just as crazy as they were at work, right? Like how you react says a lot about what's going on inside. And it reveals the health and the condition of your heart and your soul. It says a lot about what's going on in here. So how do you react when you're like, no, I've just had enough? When you and I are able in those moments, when we're able to react to life's disappointments, to those feelings of frustration, when we've been mistreated, when we've been hurt, how we react, when we're able in those moments to react in a way that is less than the frustration that we feel, when we're able to master what Andy calls the underreaction, right? The over-underreaction. When we're able to do that, then it's surprising, it's disarming, dare I say, you guys, it's attractive, it's appealing. When people see that, when your reaction doesn't match the disappointment that you feel, when your reaction doesn't match the frustration that you feel, when your reaction doesn't match the anger or the mistreatment that you just experienced, when your reaction doesn't match that intensity, it's appealing. It's what our world needs now. It needs more of that. Which brings us to our series that we're in. We're in a series called What Our World Needs Now. And in this series, we're asking that question, what does our world need now? And we've been learning together over the past few weeks what our world needs now. It's not more the same. It's not more of the past. It's not a longing for the good old days there was such a thing. It's not more programs or policies or politicians. It's not any of those things that we've been saying in the series that what our world needs now. What our world is in desperate need of right now is more love, more joy, more peace, more patience, more kindness. What our world desperately needs now is more goodness, more gentleness with one another, more faithfulness, more self-control. And you don't have to be a Christian to hear that list and think, yes, our world could stand to have a whole lot more of those things. And more specifically, not just those things like floating around in the world, but what our world needs are more people willing to exhibit and express those things in their lives and in their relationships. What our world needs is more people living out those things in their neighborhoods, in their workplaces, on their social media platforms, hello, in our communities. That is what our world needs now. It's people like you and people like me living out things like we just said, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, goodness, faithfulness, self-control. Our world needs more people filled up with that and living that out. That's what our world needs now. And the Apostle Paul actually calls those things, that list that we just rattled off. If you grew up around church, you're familiar with that list, but the Apostle Paul actually calls those lists of attributes. He calls it the fruit of the Spirit. I'll show you this in Galatians chapter 5. He says the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. He says against such things there's no law. He says this kind of stuff needs to be unleashed, not restricted, right? And he calls it the fruit. It's important that we recognize that. The Apostle Paul, he calls this list the fruit. It's not a to-do list. Thank God, right? My wife would love that though. It's not a to-do list. This is not behavior modification. The Apostle Paul, he calls it fruit. He says these things, these are the results, the byproduct, the fruit of submission and obedience to Jesus. He says that these are the results of a life lived committed following Jesus. He says these are the things that will be produced in your life if you simply keep in step with him. And so again, it's not a to-do list. It's a list of results. It is, according to the Apostle Paul, this list right here. These are the marks of Christian maturity. These are the things that ought to show up in the lives of people who are committed to and submitted to following Jesus. And you guys can see, like, if those things started to show up in the lives of believers, right, that would be like turning the world upside down in the best possible way, kind of change, right? You also see that when we miss the mark on these, right? That's the reason why some of you have said no thank you to Jesus, and it had nothing to do really with Jesus. It had to do with the people that you knew who claimed to follow Jesus, and then their life didn't look anything like that list. So the Apostle Paul says these are the marks of Christian maturity. If we're committed to walk with Jesus, these are the things that can show up and should show up in our lives, and that's exactly what the world needs now. So through this series, we've been doing is taking a look at each one of these aspects of the fruit of the Spirit, and we're kind of looking at how can we see these things produced in our lives, how does the Spirit produce them, and how can we cultivate our lives to be conducive for those things to grow up in them. And so what are the things that we can do to cultivate the conditions of our life so the fruit of the Spirit can actually grow up and flourish and shine through us, because that's exactly what the world needs now. And so we covered love, which is like the umbrella virtue, right? It's the umbrella virtue of all of these. It's kind of the one that all the other things flow out of, and all these other things on the list, they describe that word love, right? So we said we want to love. We talked about joy. We talked about joy in circumstances that aren't necessarily joyful. How the promise, this fruit of the Spirit, is that you have joy, not just in circumstances that are joyful, but you have it in all circumstances. And then last week we talked about peace, and how to have a peace which passes understanding, even when things around you aren't necessarily peaceful. And then this week we're going to talk about this one right here, which I just confessed to all of you I am awesome at. Patience. we're going to talk about patience. Even when, and maybe especially when you've had enough, right? So the word, there's actually two Greek words that the Bible uses that are translated in your English Bible as patience. The first one is hupomone, and that word means to like bear up under weight, to like be able to handle pressure, right? And to do so, to be able to bear up under like strenuous, difficult situations and to not give up, right? That's this word hupomone. Now that's not the word that the Apostle Paul uses here. He actually uses the other Greek word that's translated as patience, and that one is macrothumia. And so that word, that Greek word, it takes two words, macro meaning length, long, right? Like and then thumia, which means heat or anger. And so that word is long anger, right? Not meaning angry for a long time, that would be the opposite, but that you take a long time to get angry, right? Long heat, long anger, a long fuse, you might say, right? And so if hupomone is the ability to not give up when things are difficult, then macrothumia is the ability to not blow up when things get difficult. And that's the word that the Apostle Paul uses here in the fruit of the Spirit. He says it's macrothumia. It's a long fuse. It's the ability to not blow up even when, especially when you've had enough. He says this is the result of the Spirit's work in us. He's like that's what this fruit of the Spirit is. And this can look in a number of different ways. I wrote some ways that this might show up in different situations. Some ways that this is referenced and used all throughout different literature and even in the Bible. Sometimes macrothumia looks like responding to an offense with understanding. Sometimes it looks like reacting to frustration or inconvenience with a sense of humor. Sometimes it looks like accepting what you can't control and reacting to disappointment graciously. Sometimes it looks like listening to understand rather than always seeking to be understood. Sometimes it looks like loving someone the way that they are because they may never change, but you're gonna love them anyway. Sometimes it's keeping perspective when you've been disappointed. Sometimes it's kindly thanking for someone that they did even though they honestly should have done it a long time ago. Sometimes it's deciding to trust in God's timing even though His calendar is not synced up with your own. This is patience. It's macrothumia. The ability to not blow up even when, especially when you've had enough. There's a pastor named Kyle, and he has a great definition of this. And I want to share with you because I thought he wrote it so good while I read it. He said this. He said patience, in reference to this one right here, macrothumia. He says, it's a God-given capacity to graciously accept delay, trouble, suffering, or mistreatment without getting angry or upset, without getting hot, without blowing up, right? This is what the Apostle Paul says should result in our lives the more we walk with Jesus, is that we should get a longer and longer fuse for the things and the people in our lives we can have a short fuse with. So, I don't think I have to preach very hard to convince us that we need more of this. We need more of this in our own lives and relationships, and if you just look around the world, definitely need more of this to show up in our lives and in our relationships. Right? The question is how we get it, right? Because typically the way we go about this is actually undermines our ability to have this, and that is that pastor says, hey, we're supposed to be patient. Like, I'm going to be so patient this week, and you're like, yeah, you are, right? Like, you don't lighten up your way with patience, right? Like, it undermines it. It's like saying we're going to be so humble. You know what I mean? Like, watch how humble I'm going to be, and then you immediately started on your way of not being humble. So it's, how do we get? How does it's obviously the fruit of the Spirit, so it's produced in us, but how do we cultivate the conditions in our life in order to experience greater and greater patience? That's the question we're going to talk about. And in order to have this discussion, we're going to jump to another place where the same word is used, but it's written by a different guy. We're going to jump over to the book of James, and James is interesting because James is written by this guy named James, who was an early church leader. That's not what's so interesting about him. The interesting part about James is that he was the brother of Jesus, which is fascinating to me. Just think about that one for a minute. Those of you with siblings, try to imagine what your sibling would have to do to convince you that they're God. Yeah, exactly. You're like, whoa, right? And James is, if you follow his story in the scriptures, you see that James and his other siblings, they actually didn't buy the whole Jesus is God thing. They thought he was crazy at first. They thought he was out of his mind at one point. They made fun of him. At another point, they actually come to get him when he's preaching. And then later, though James becomes a leader in the church, what happened was that James saw his brother die, and then he saw him resurrect, and that changed everything for him. And so then James, he goes on to be a leader in the church. He's writing to believers anywhere and everywhere in the book of James. This letter has been circulated anywhere where Christians were gathering. And in his letter, he covers this topic of patience. And he's going to talk about patience, and he's going to talk about some of the areas where we know we need to have it, but we often lose it. And then he's going to give us some handles, some things that we can do to cultivate the conditions for patience to grow in our lives. So I'll show you this. This is in James chapter 5, starting verse 7. He starts off, he says, be patient then, brothers and sisters. He starts and just says, be patient. And I'm trying, while that phone goes off, I'm trying to be patient. I'm like, we're going to find it. I know they are. There it goes. Bless God. I love it. Holy Spirit, I need that. So he starts off just asking, or commanding him, be patient. Now, this is not like do patience. He's going, hey, be committed to becoming patient. He's like, become patient, right? Like, it's not, again, it's not to do, it's a become. And you go, how long is that going to take, James? And he says, be patient until Jesus comes back. Yeah, like somebody got a long time. So maybe I don't know tomorrow, but he says, be patient. Wait, how long, James? Until Jesus comes back. That's how long you're going to need to practice patience. That's how long it's going to take for you to become patient, right? Like the patience, you guys, is a lifelong exercise. Patience is a lifelong process. Because you know this, as soon as you get the thing you're waiting for, you just got another thing to wait for. As soon as the person you mend the relationship that you've been trying to be patient with, you just got another one that goes. As soon as that lengthens the fuse for you in this one area of your life, you find that you've shortened it in another. Right? It's a lifelong process. So James is encouraging to be patient, and we know this, right? But it's difficult, and especially considering some of the areas that James mentions that we ought to be patient. There's three that you can see here in this passage. Three areas where we desperately need to practice patience. We definitely need patience, but we're so quick to lose it. The first one you see right here. He says, see how the farmer waits for the land to yield its valuable crop, waiting for the autumn and spring rains. He says one of the areas where we need patience, but we so often lose it, is when circumstances seem unbearable or uncontrollable. Isn't that right? One of the areas where we desperately need to become more patient, but we are so often losing it, is when circumstances in our life seem unbearable or uncontrollable. And he references the farmer there, and he says, hey, the farmer has to wait on rain and crops to grow, and he can't control either of them. He can't control when it's going to rain, and he can't control when it's going to grow. All he can do is work the field. And now he has to wait. And in our own lives, guys, we have situations where we can't rush it and we can't control it, and so we need patience for it. Maybe it's in those moments where something happens and it comes totally blindsided, you come out of nowhere, changes everything for you, makes a mess of things. It's the diagnosis you weren't expecting. It's the job change you weren't expecting. It's the issue that happened to your kid that you didn't see coming, and now it's changed everything. You can't rush it, you can't control it, you can't fix it. You fuse it short. Sometimes it's little by little. Just these little things happening and they all compound and eventually they build and you blow up. Whether on the situation itself or on those around you, because you can't control the situation, not even them. Sometimes that's the way it is. A few years ago, I was carving a pumpkin, and this was my daughter's first Halloween. And I picked this really intricate design because I was like, this is so awesome, the best dad ever. And I was just, even though she was too young and whatever, take care. Because you just do that with your first kid. You're like, I'm gonna do all these, I'm gonna buy all these presents, and they just play boxes, and then I'm gonna buy these cool shoes, you can't walk. And so like, you just do that, you do that with your first kid, you're like, kind of going over the top. So I'm carving this amazing scene on this pumpkin. And I'm down there for a while carving this pumpkin. And I go stand up, and I stand up and straighten up, an explosion of pain goes down my leg. And it's down into my toes. And I immediately hit the ground. My wife's like, yo, you good? And I was like, no, don't touch me, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, oh, you guys are back pain, you know, I'm like, this is unbelievable. And I realized after literally like over an hour, I realized ice and Advil, like my school coach said, is not gonna help this. You know what I mean? Like, this is not gonna fix this. Something's wrong. So we go to the ER, we go to the ER, they have a few other doctor's appointments, I'm going to physical therapy, I get, epidural, all this kind of stuff trying to fix this, nothing is touching it, it's excruciating, I don't like it, I'm having to take meds all the time, and I'm miserable. And we just find out that I have a herniated disc, and I have surgery. I had surgery, and the recovery is slow, but not that slow, because I just turned 30, so my body's still recovering. Now it's like, yeah, right. So I'm recovering, kind of starting out back. A year goes by from surgery, and we go travel, and I'm going to go travel and speak, and over in Korea, and I'm speaking at a school over in South Korea, and I'm playing basketball with some kids after school, and I take a step, and I step wrong, and boom, down the leg. And now I'm in the ER in Korea, calling my wife, I have paper out of pocket. She's like, no, and I was like, what wrong with here? So it's unbelievable. So I'm there, and I get all the meds I can get to be able to make this 14-hour flight back, and we get back home, and find out I recreated the same disc, and now I've got to have another surgery, and I'm just so frustrated. And I'm down again, and it's months, and I can't help with now my two kids. My wife is like, she's trying not to be like frustrated at me, but she needs help. So we got these two kids and under two, and I am no help at all. I'm feeling angry, I'm in pain, I'm out of shape, I'm antsy, and the process is just becoming unbearable, you guys. And in that unbearable situation, I'll just go ahead and tell you, I became unbearable. I remember one time my wife was like, put your backers on, and like, go walk or something, like, leave. You know, like this is just like, you're unbearable. And James is going, hey, we need patience. We need patience in those moments that feel unbearable, that feel unchangeable. We need it because things are going to be unbearable, but you don't have to be. It's hard. James says we also need patience, not just for the moments that feel unbearable and unchangeable, but also for people. He says, don't against one another. He says, are you two will be judged? He says, hey, it's not just for the situations and circumstances that you face that feel unbearable and unchangeable, it's also for the people that are unbearable and unchangeable. Like, they should know that it's time to change. They should know that it's time to grow up, right? They know, don't they? It's been days, it's been weeks, it's been months, it's been years. And I still don't get it. You're still saying it still won't change. You're still doing that thing. It's swarms gonna be different this time. It's not different. And it's so hard. So we need patience. James says we need to be patient in processes that seem unbearable and unchangeable. We need to be patient with people that seem unbearable and unchangeable. And then he keeps repeating this thing. He says, the Lord is coming. He says, because the Lord is coming near. He says, the judge is standing at the door. And the reason why he keeps repeating that is because for a lot of us, it's not just the circumstances and the people in our life that we need patience, but for some of us, it's with God. For some of us, it's with God. That's where our patience is worn thin, that's where our fuse is grown short, that's where we need patience the most. Have you ever felt like you were stuck in God's waiting room? You ever felt that? And what makes it even more frustrating is you've been there for a while and you're watching other people come in and they go straight to this. And they're like, walk back. You're like, what? Them? Some people aren't even having to walk up to this. They walk in and they're out and you're like, whoa, you know what, did I do something wrong? Did I miss the magic words? Like, what's going on here? Like, God, you seem unattentive, you seem unavailable. You ever find yourself there? And in those moments when you're in God's waiting room, you were just like, if you're anything like me, you ever just feel like, God, you would just, like, the answer's no, would you just tell me so I don't sit around and waste my time? Or do you ever feel like, God, if you would just tell me how long, then I can wait. You know, it's like when you go to Disney and they have that wait time where it says like your wait from here is 120 years, and you're like, you know, like you got the wait time. You know, here's the crazy thing is like you think, man, if they put the wait time, they're going to get discouraged. Wait, they don't. And because I know how long I've got to wait, right? It makes it more bearable. Sometimes you're waiting on God and you're in a process, you're dealing with a person or you're just waiting on circumstances to change, and when that happens, you're waiting on God and you wish God to give you a wait time. Like, hey, I know that you want to be married. Wait time, 2 years. Right? Hey, I know you want to start a family. 3 years. Okay, God. Hey, God. I know you want things to be different in that career. 18 months. Okay, God. We wish we could get a wait time, but the problem is we're not promised that. We're not promised a wait time. We often will never know how long it's going to have to be, which is why patience and faith often walk hand in hand. And in those moments, if we're willing to lean in and be patient and not blow up and go scorched earth on people around us or on God, it's in those moments we're willing to let faith and patience hold hands, that God grows us, that He matures us, that we learn to be dependent on Him, and we experience the fruit of patience in our life. James says, be patient. Be patient in processes that feel unbearable and feel unchangeable. Be patient with the people who seem unbearable and unchangeable. And be patient with God when He seems unavailable, because He's near, He's closer, He's listening, He's not forgotten you. Now you might be asking, well, how do I do that though, Reed? Because all that sounds hard. You're right. James gives us a few things. None of these are fast. None of these are quick fixes. There's no quick fix to patience. But he does give us some ways that we cultivate our lives, the conditions in our life, in order to experience the fruit of patience. So a couple things I'll point out quickly and we'll close. The first thing, he says, see how far waits. He says, look how far waits. He says, you want to cultivate the conditions of patience in your life, you want to cultivate the conditions where patience can grow. He says, first thing, look how far waits. Do you know how far waits? He's not passive in the waiting. Patience is not passive. And it's not indifference. Indifference is a cheap form of patience. But patience isn't quick caring. He says, watch how the farmer waits. You know how the farmer waits? He works while he waits. The farmer works while he waits. And he weeds, and he throws seed, and he tills the ground, and he cares for what he can care for, and he controls what he can control, and he works on things that he can work on while he's waiting on that which he cannot control in the hopes that it's going to rain and the plants are going to grow. He works while he waits. And James says, you want to cultivate the conditions for patience to grow in your life? He says, while you're waiting on what you can't control, while you're sitting in what feels unbearable, he says, do the thing you can't control while you wait on what you can't. Do the things you can control while you wait on what you can't control. So this is how we begin to cultivate the conditions in our lives. So maybe you're in a situation where I can't change this situation. I'm going to work on the things I can't control. I'm going to work on my own self, on growth, on maturity. I'm going to work on relationships in my own life while things at work are crazy. I'm going to work on things I can't control. While this other person, I wish they would change, I wish they would get their act together, I wish they would learn how to forgive, I wish they would learn how to whatever, right? Instead of just complaining about them, I'm going to work on myself because I can't control that. I'm going to work on me, I'm going to work on my own forgiveness, I'm going to work on my own growth, I'm going to work on those things, I'm going to pray for them, I'm going to work on me. Work while you wait. That begins to cultivate conditions for patience. He says also, he goes on, he says, brothers and sisters, as an example of patience in the face of suffering, he says, take prophets who spoke in the name of the Lord, as you know, we count blessed those who have persevered. So he says, look at this example of patience. They're the prophets, and they persevered. He says, hey, if you want to cultivate the conditions for patience in your life, he says, not just work while you wait, yes, work while you wait, but also look at the example of others who have been patient and what it produced in their lives, and let their patience inspire your patience. So you look to others, and specifically he says, you look at the prophets, look at people in Scripture who wait on God and watch what God did in their life and in their story. And not all of them got the thing they were waiting for, but all of them got God working in their life and through their life. And so he says, look at what happens in their patience and let their patience inspire your own. For those of you that might be waiting on a child, look at Abraham and Sarah, and he waited 25 years. And wait, and let their patience raise up your endurance and inspire your own. For those of you waiting to see the fulfillment of something you feel like God promised you, consider the example of Moses, who wandered for 40 years before ever getting stand on a mountain and look into that which God promised, and let his patience inspire your own. For those of you who are waiting for a recognition to be seen or promotion that you feel like is owed you, consider the example of David, who was anointed king and then waited years before he ever saw himself seated in that position. Consider David. For those of you that have been praying and wondering when's it going to happen, when God's going to answer, consider the example of Elijah, who prayed and checked and prayed and checked and prayed and checked until he eventually saw rain. Consider Elijah and let it inspire your own patience. For those of you who feel like you are suffering and enduring, consider Job, he says. Job's perseverance. And what the word's about. Consider how you waited to be vindicated and justified for God to show up in his pain. And let it inspire your own. How do we cultivate the conditions for patience? We work while we wait. We consider the faithful example of others and let their patience inspire our own. And then he closes with this, and I will too. He says, and the Lord is full of compassion and mercy. The last way we can cultivate the conditions for patience to grow up in us is to remember, he says, the compassion and mercy of God towards us. This compassion and mercy. He says, remember God's patience with and for you. Remember how patient God has been with you. Remember how patient he's been while you've been trying to get your act together. Remember where you were when he saved you. Remember how far he's brought you. Remember how he didn't give up on you and refuses to give up on you even still while you're trying to get your act together. Remember how far you still got to go and that God is still sticking with you. Remember God's patience with you. And if you'll remember God's patience with you, the more aware, I'm telling you guys, in my own life experiences, the more aware I am of God's patience with me, the more able I am to extend patience to you. The more aware I am of God's patience with me, the more able I become to extend patience towards you. Literally, me getting up in the mornings and reflecting on and giving thanks to God for his patience with me while I'm in process. Literally, he lengthens the fuse that I have for you and for my situations and even with him. Remember God's patience with you, and it makes you more able to extend that patience to others. So, what do we do? Work while we wait. We consider the patient example of others who come before us and let that inspire our own patience because we see what they did in their lives and we remember God's patience with us. And if you commit and submit to those things, listen, little by little, day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year, the Holy Spirit promise is that you will become patient. We don't arrive. It's a lifelong process. Until Jesus comes back and we go see him, we continue to become patient. But this is our part. This is our keeping in step with the Spirit. Work while you wait. Do the things you can't control while you wait on the things that you can't. Consider the example of others. Consider the prophets who come before you and they were patient and God produced something in their life. And remember God's patience with you. And if you'll do those things, you guys, and the Lord will produce patience in us. And it's what you need and it's what our world desperately needs to grow up in us and to shine through us. Amen. Of course. Father, thanks so much. Thank you care about where we're coming, where we're going. You care about this fruit showing up in our lives for your glory and for the world's good. You care about this stuff showing up in us and through us. So I always confess that this is not something we're naturally good at. We need your help. So Holy Spirit, will you help us?